Today we're going to talk about study skills as we were talking about organization and planning the other day. So there's different types of learning styles that you guys need to kind of find out which one are you. And based on which one you are, that's kind of the way that you should be focusing your studies and how you should try to help yourself learn, this is another way of planning and making connections to what you need to do to be successful, um, not only in the assignments that I assign, but just in your future as well. So there's three types of learning styles. There's a visual, that's learned by seeing. There's auditory, that's learned by hearing, and there's kinesthetic, which is learning by doing. So everyone learns differently, and it's most helpful that you study in the way that you learn. And so let's learn about each one of those, and we'll talk about those and see which one makes most sense to you. So if you're a visual learner, ways that you can go about this is you can highlight or underline main ideas in text that you read and things. You can make an outline or map any of your main ideas that you have. When studying for a test, you should do something that you can see, maybe see lists, drawings, watch videos. Copying words can be helpful. Another thing that people use, visual learners use, is index cards. They make flashcards, separate into know and don't know piles, play memory games, etc. You can also use a computer or draw on a chalkboard as you study. Use assignment books to write down assignments. That could be your calendar, your planner, and so forth. And it would probably be best never to watch TV while you're studying, because again, then you're going to be focused on something else and you're not going to be paying attention to that. So that's some tips and tricks for visual learners. If you're an auditory learner, read aloud instead of silently. Tape record items to study and play the information back. That way you can go back and listen to it again and recite what's on the tapes. You can use music to help you learn, put information into a tune that or make a song or poem or something like that. Have another person quiz you and review information aloud to you. And study in a quiet place with no distractions. Obviously, the TV shouldn't be on. You shouldn't have a radio, music playing in the background or anything like that. You should just kind of be focused and being able to listen in full to what the information you need. Now, if you're a kinesthetic learner, use objects, like coins, beans, blocks, etc., anything that you can think of to help you understand math. Trace spelling or vocabulary words in sand or salt, or use magnetic letters to spell words out on the fridge. Something that you can alter with your hands. Use maps, globes, puzzles to study history and geography. Teach the information you must learn to someone else using a chalkboard to write or draw the information. Have someone talk through the information with you while you're doing some activity. So you could be playing basketball, shooting around, but they're talking through it as you're learning. Take breaks often during studying time, and always have an adult help you develop a system to stay organized. Again, that's something that you would be working on as well, trying to stay organized and planning, but you can also have someone help you out there. Now, when you're studying, and this is for everyone, when you're studying, you should be comfortable, but not too relaxing. Find a place where you're able to write down neatly and stay alert. I would study, if you can, in the same place every day. The things around you, like the light, the sound, temperature, use good overhead lighting that is not too dim, but not so bright that you must squint. Sound, find a quiet place where you aren't interrupted by others, the radio or TV or other noises. Temperature, find a comfortable spot where you are not too hot or too cold. Think about where is your study spot and does it meet the criteria above. For me, sometimes when I plan, I can think of places that I shouldn't, be. Sometimes when I sit on the couch or something, if I'm going to do some notes and plan for the day, or even read, it's so comfortable for me that it's too relaxing, because then I fall asleep. I start falling asleep and getting tired quicker. Whereas if I sit at a table or a desk, I'm a little bit more alert. And the light, I try to make sure isn't too low, because obviously then I'm not going to be able to read it, and it's not too high. It's just kind of that right setting that I have. Um, I have to be careful in my office that I have. It gets very cold in there, so I got to make sure I either have a heater or something in there. It also gets too hot depending on the time of year. So different things can happen, and so you really got to try to find an environment that works for you. Think about the spots that you normally do your studying at, and see if they kind of fit this criteria. Do you tend to fall asleep very quickly in these areas, or get very tired and exhausted in these areas? Are you struggling to read or see things because the light's not good? Is there too many distractions around you? You really want to make sure when you're looking at your study environment that it kind of fits the things that we said, so that way you can get the most out of it, right? We want you to be focused, be able to learn, be alert, and really retain the information that you're studying. Now, some other learning strategies that we have is, categorize information by grouping information into groups of similar ideas, using sequencing skills to perform information, or to put information in a time order. Try to find the main ideas in paragraphs that you're reading, find the details to support your main ideas, highlight many ideas and outline or map out information you read. Use context clues to find the meaning of new words. Use a dictionary if context clues don't help. Use illustrations and charts and textbooks to help you understand information you read. Other things I would suggest is, like, if you're ever reading for any type of class that you have, when you're reading books, if you come across a word that you don't understand, I would go and look it up, before you move on, because sometimes that can throw you off, and then you miss the whole point of what they're talking about because you didn't know that one word. Other things is, I tend to highlight and write things down as well. I like to highlight the information, and sometimes I'll even get out like a little notebook that I'm writing key things in as well, just to kind of transfer both the information that I just read, and also to try to get it to stay in my mind a little bit more. And so I rewrite it somewhere else. So that can be helpful as well. When when taking tests, I think tests are a big thing for many of us, that you always hear people say, I'm not a good test taker, or I struggle, and I just don't understand it. Tests, the way they're meant is to reflect your knowledge on the material. And if you really understand the material and know what you're doing, then the test shouldn't be as bad. It's kind of like doing the assignments. If you know how to do the assignment and you're getting the right answers, then you probably know that you're going to be able to do the test. But if you're struggling on the assignments, then obviously, more than likely, you're going to struggle on the test. So a couple of things that you can do to help you out, when taking tests is, one, make sure you read directions and instructions carefully. I think that is the biggest thing that I tend to see a lot of issues arise from, is that students, they just go straight to doing the problem, and they don't really read the directions or pay attention to what it's really asking them to do. So it's good to read them, reread them a couple of times, right? Really make sure you know what it is asking. Second thing is, keep track of time. You always want to make sure that you're spending, the right amount of time on each problem. If one problem's taking way too long, then maybe you should move on, do the ones that you know, and then come back and finish it up, right? And that kind of goes along with the third strategy, which would be, do the easy ones first. The ones that you automatically know you can get done, get those out of the way. Automatically, if you're getting those ones right, you're going to have that many points already, right? And then you can take that time to spend a little bit more on those harder questions, right? But even on those ones, like I said, don't spend too much time on just one question. If it's taken a little bit too long, take that break from that question, go to a different one, come back. That's if you can, right? Um, when reading questions, if they're like word problems and things like that, it's always good to write what the key information you have is. Use the tools. If I read a word problem, this is what I tend to do. I read it once just to get an idea of what they're talking about, what I'm going to do. Then I read it again and I say, okay, what are they giving me? And so I start making, I write out, underneath it, the things that they've given me. Okay, there's some pieces of information. All right, this is what I have. Then I start thinking about the tools that I need. If it's like a math problem, is there a particular formula I'm going to need or that's going to help me out or whatever it is? And so I start thinking about the different tools I'm going to need for this particular problem. And then I got to go back again and I read it one more time and say, okay, what am I really doing? What is it really asking for? And once I get to that, then I can take the time and say, okay, now I know and I have everything. How can I use everything that I have to get what I need? Right? And then you can work it out and plan it out that way. Other test taking strategies is before the test, make sure you use like note taking strategies, mind mapping, outlining, doing things like that. It's always good when you're in class to write things in your own words, right? When you're writing the information in your own words and you read it later on, you tend to understand it a little bit more because, again, it's the way that you would write it. It's the way that you would say it. But one of the issues that I remember I always had when in college and even in high school is I tried to write everything like that wasn't on a PowerPoint or something. I tried to write everything that the teacher or the professor was saying like down as fast as I could. And I didn't really take that minute to say, you know what, listen to what they're saying and try to summarize it in my own words, right? Try to make key points, key things, right? Not write everything down, but just make the key points and then summarizing it. And so that's one thing that you can do when writing your notes is again, try to have some type of organization with it. Maybe you have, different columns, that one is where you're taking the notes. The other side is where you have questions that you may want to ask the professor or ask, and so it's kind of good to learn some good note-taking strategies because the better notes you have to prepare yourself for the test, the more you can study them, the more you're going to understand, the more prepared you're going to be, right? Listening skills to kind of prepare yourself for tests is, again, looking for verbal cues and presentation cues. Obviously, if you've ever seen a PowerPoint like I give or other teachers give, we sometimes bold certain words, right? We sometimes underline them or highlight them or whatever it is. And so when you're going through, that's how you want to take that information. Okay, you're listening. Are they emphasizing this point? Have they said it more than once while I'm listening to them? Right? And by listening for those things, you kind of get pretty good at, oh, okay, I get every time, and think about when you listen to somebody, what were the key things that came up on one of the previous tests, right? Oh, they kept emphasizing, and this is the way they did that. And they, teachers tend to do that same thing throughout their lessons, that they tend to put emphasis on the key things that you need to take away. Sometimes they say it multiple times, right? And that's how you know, oh, I'm listening. They said it 3 times. That's probably something I should write down. So listening skills, again, is a great thing to have and really focus on to help better prepare you for tests. And memorization techniques. A lot of things when it comes down to having to remember a lot, there's many different techniques that you can do. The flashcards, you can make up little, I forget how to say it, the basically like little acronyms for things like when we say like PEMDAS, right? Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction, right? You come up with little things like that help you remember things. And you got to do it your way, right? Some people, like earlier we stated, making songs. Like if you make a little song, if it rhymes with it or things going in, it's easier to remember when you're going through that information. And so when you're when you're doing work and kind of preparing and studying for tests and preparing for tests, all these techniques can really benefit you if you just kind of find the ones that really work for you. How are they going to help you out? What can you use that's really going to guide you and help you plan and organize your thoughts and your notes and everything, so that way when you're ready for that test, you're going to be prepared for it, right? Now, homework is a topic we always need to discuss as well. A lot of people get confused on, what's the importance of homework? Why do I have to do all this work? And we get so stressed that why are these teachers giving us so much and whatnot? But here's kind of the breakdown of it. When you think of homework, the reason that we give homework is to review and practice what was taught, right? When you think of yourself as maybe an athlete, maybe you're an athlete, right? In order to get better at something, you have to practice it. Okay. I can't just watch football all day long, 24/7 for 7 years, and I'm going to be the best football player in the world. It's not how it works, right? I literally have to practice and review what I'm doing, right? So that I can understand, am I doing what I need to be doing, and is it preparing me for what I need to know, right? It helps you prepare for the next day's class, right? A lot of things come back, they build on each other, right? Especially like in mathematics. When we think of mathematics, solving equations, part of solving equations is rearranging the equations, and that comes across almost everywhere in mathematics, right? And being able to prepare yourself by doing the day's work, by doing the assignments when you need to, you're preparing yourself for what might be building on that for the next day. Okay? Learn to use your resources, right? Homework, when I give you guys projects and stuff to work on, the huge piece of that is learning to use those resources. You have the internet, you have peers, you have parents and guardians, you have friends. Like, everybody is a source of information. Right now, are they all the right information? That's something that you have to think about. But being able to look at multiple sources and learn how to use those sources, that's what's going to be important in how you build your knowledge, right? And so that's also a good purpose of homework, is that you get projects, you get assignments, and we're trying to teach you, how can I use the resources around me, right? And the better you get at using them, the easier the answers are going to come to you. That you're going to find them, right? But you really got to be good at learning how to find those resources, reaching out and asking those questions that you need. Another thing, for homework and stuff, is so that you can also explore the subject more fully than what we're given in class, right? If you've ever had an assignment, like a homework assignment, where you're like, they didn't teach us that. You question, like, I don't remember them saying anything about that. It might not be that they had said it in class, but it's actually trying to build off the knowledge that you actually should have learned. So it might not be the exact same thing, but I guarantee there's a connection there. And so learning to explore so you can learn the connections, that's part of it, right? So like, even with math, when we tell you guys, all right, math isn't just about becoming human calculators. It's about problem solving, right? And I don't mean just problem solving math problems. In life, we have problems. We have to solve them. And math is teaching you how to do that in a way that some people don't recognize, right? We're saying, here's a math problem. Understand there's multiple ways of going about it, and then apply different things until you learn it, right? And so you're taking the skills that you're learning and you're learning to apply it in other areas of your life. And so that's kind of the other purpose of homework, right? And again, some of these skills that you're learning, they're going to be put into different tasks, right? Like a project or book report and so forth. So you're learning to integrate those different things, those different skills that you learned into those as well. It also teaches you how to work on your own, right? Teaches students to work independently. When, teachers can give you a lot of information, but if you're just listening, sometimes a lot of us don't retain it that way, right? Maybe we're not the audio learner. However, if I take the time and I say, okay, I need to work on this on my own as well, right? I can't just listen and follow along the whole time. I got to be able to do it on my own. And so it gives you that structure to say, let's start working on this by myself, right? See what I can do. If I have questions, then that's where I ask the teacher. That's where I get that help, right? But you got to learn to practice it, right, by yourself, so that way you can build that knowledge on your own as well. It helps encourage self-discipline and responsibility. We have to learn, as people to learn to discipline ourselves, right, to make sure that we're doing what we need to be doing, whether that's homework or whatever. But it's like a responsibility. When you think about school and stuff, think of that idea, make the connection that it kind of works with, a job, right? I'm going to be given things to do at a job, and it's my responsibility to do them. And that's where we think of that idea of homework, right? And homework, I know we're not getting paid at school, but it's still building that. It's still building that you are given something to do. It is your responsibility to take action and do it, right? And so it's encouraging and helping build off that self-discipline that we all need. And we need that in all aspects of our life, right? We need to be disciplined in a lot of things and learn about our responsibility. But homework actually does help with that. And it also provides opportunities for an increased communication. And that can be communication between you and the teacher. That can be communication between you and your peers, you and your family, whatever it is. But it's giving you that opportunity that if you're struggling or you're knowing and you want to share that information or you need to ask for help, like it's giving that increased communication across the board to everyone. And so next time you think of homework, understand that it's more than just doing this grunt work that you have to do. Like it's building on all these things that we need to build on, not just for homework, but in our lives as well, right? It's encouraging and applying and exploring all these ideas and using them out there in our actual real world, minus just the assignments, right, that we're getting just in class. Now, the last thing that I really want to talk about is, working with teachers. I always get it where, we always say students are afraid to ask questions for some reason. They I don't know, maybe it's the fear of not looking intelligent or whatever it may be. But the only way to really solve any of those issues of your struggling intelligence, if you believe it to be that, is to communicate and work with me, with your teachers, right? To get the help that you need to be successful, especially in this type of time where we're on this, distance learning and I'm not face to face with you. I can't literally sit next to you in class and talk to you and help you out, right? It's a little bit harder than that. And so now more than ever, it's really important because the more that you work with the teacher, someone like me, the more we can see what you may need help with. We can understand what your knowledge is, right? The more you communicate with us, the easier we can help solve those problems together. And so part of that is participating in class discussions, right? When we ask questions, you should be responding. right? That's how you also learn, by response. And if you're not participating in class, I don't know if you're getting it. Maybe you have all the knowledge in the world. Maybe you don't have any of the knowledge of the world. I don't know, right? Because you're not giving me feedback. So that feedback helps a teacher understand where you're coming from. And if you get it wrong, oh well. Mistakes allow thinking to happen. That's part of it. If you don't learn from your mistakes, you're going to continue to make them. So again, that's why you need to participate and really, really speak up in class discussions. It's okay if you get it wrong, right? That's when learning is going to happen. If you get it right, then you already knew it. You didn't really actually learn anything. You just already knew it. Another thing to do is always contact your teacher as soon as you need help. I don't know why, and our brains are embedded that we don't like asking for help. People, for some reason, don't like asking for help. Yet, when you think of the reverse of that, it seems like everybody's willing to help. But how can we help if you're not asking for it, right? So when you are struggling, as soon as you begin to struggle, that is when you got to reach out and say, hey, teacher, I don't understand this, right? And then we come through and we try to explain it in different ways to really make sure we can reach you and get you to understand what we're talking about, right? You also need to take that extra step, going to office hours and tutoring, right? Those are things outside of class. If you're not, even if you just want to get ahead, sometimes you can do that. But if you're struggling with material and you know it might come back, which we tell you most of it does, okay, then you got to get out of your comfort zone and say, okay, I got to go to office hours or I got to go to tutoring to get that extra help so that I'm prepared and ready for the next day's class or whatever it is, or for the test coming up, right? And then just reach out. If there's situations going on that's causing you to fall behind, we understand. We know that everything's not easy for everyone. Things go on in your life at home, your home life, that cause issues. And honestly, I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you've ever reached out to a teacher and they said, no, I'm not going to help you, or they didn't care about your feelings, I feel like if you did, that wouldn't be a good teacher. Okay, I think 99.9% of us, if you're going to come to us and be honest with us and let us know what's going on, we're going to try to work with you. We want you to be successful. The whole reason we signed up for being a teacher was to help guide you so that you can be successful in your future. Right? And whatever subject we're teaching you, we are trying to help educate you so that you feel confident going out into the real world. Right? And if there are things in your way, yeah, we can have an understanding that. We might offer some advice and then say, hey, you know what? Take a little bit more time on the assignments. Right? Because we know what you're going through. But if we don't, we're just going to assume, oh, this kid's not trying, blah, 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 right? Because we don't know any better, right? Because we're not hearing from you. We're not getting that feeling of what's going on in this student's life, right? Sometimes we can see it when we're face to face. If you walked into class and I can see that you're sad or down, I can obviously go talk to you and find out and see if we can work something, right, to help you get happy again. But, in this distance learning, I don't see anybody's faces, right? So I don't know. Are you crying behind that screen? Are you just happy as all get out? I have no idea, right? And I don't know fully what's going on. And so not being afraid to reach out, you got to be able to understand that we're here for you. That's why we signed up, right? To help you, guide you so that you can grow and be prepared for the future, right? Now, again, comes down to all of it, but true success does come only when you make a commitment to be excellent, right? There's always that saying that someone says that, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? You have to be committed. right? I can't make you commit to this. I can't make you commit to being organized and planning and preparing for your future. I can't make you do it. I can help guide you. And that's what I do as a teacher. But even with my guidance, if you don't commit to it, if you don't put it to action, then you might not be getting anything out of it. Right. And so if you want to be successful in all aspects of your life, you got to commit to it. Right? You really got to take the time and say, I'm going to work hard at this. I'm going to reach out, I'm going to get the help, and I'm going to see myself do this, right? And those that really commit, those are the ones that make a difference in their lives and even in their futures. Right? So try to remember a lot of it comes down to you. You're going to have support. You're going to have guidance. But you need to be the one that truly commits to it. And when you do that, then you'll be able to see the success that you can truly have. Okay. So I hope that these slides on organization and planning help give you some insight into your world. Now, again, it really, I cannot say it enough that being organized and have things planned out is really going to alleviate a lot of stress that you're going to have in all aspects of your life. And so you got to start today. Start today working on to-do lists, doing, setting up your calendars, getting planners, organizing your binders, organizing your life. Start now. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you're going to see success come to you a little bit more as well, right? You're going to see things come a little bit easier. You're not going to be forgetting certain things that you need to do. And I'm talking about all things of your life, right? So really take that time to start now. And I wish you the best of luck with your organizing and planning. And if you need any help, let me know.